Hello there, meatbags and bots. Today what I have is just a basic introduction to who Chance Wilkins is. Been noticing quite a few new people watching him, and a couple of them seem to have taken his side. So, in order to prevent average people from making that mistake, here is a quick introduction to Cyraxx.
Chance Cyraxx Wilkins was born in Alaska, circa September 1990. This makes him 33 years old as of this video. Born very prematurely, the baby needed to live in the neonatal ICU for about a month before he was cleared to leave the hospital. However, when he did, it was with his paternal grandmother, Sally. You see, he was the offspring of a sicko named Rupel and a mentally challenged woman named Connie. Rupel and Connie were basically a fucking disaster. You heard me right. A fucking disaster. As a special needs person, Connie wasn't fit to take care of a baby, or indeed herself. She managed to burn her shack down, with her in it, in the first quarter of 1994. Rupel managed to get locked up, also in 1994, after forcing himself upon a kiddo riding her bike.
Information! Sally, Rupel's mom, was herself a victim. Being, shall we say, romanced away from home around the age of 16 by a fully grown man. Ow! After having Rupel, Sally decided to leave her sicko husband and try for custody of Rupel, which was unsuccessful. Sure, she got away, but for some reason the courts thought Rupel would be better off with sicko dad than Sally. Let that sink in for a moment. A court determined the boy would be better off with a cradle robber than his mother. Wow! But the crazy doesn't stop there. Oh no! Theory! I think Sally never got over losing Rupel. She most likely thought she could have done a better job raising the boy. And maybe she even believes he wouldn't have become the monster he became if she'd been there. So to her, Chance was not only getting a second chance at life with her, she was getting a second chance to prove herself. And indeed, she screwed that up almost from the start. For you see, Chance is rather dull. He will believe anything, and I do mean anything, he is told by someone he trusts. Sally immediately set about building up the little guy's self-esteem and defending him whenever he got into trouble, which happened quite a bit during his time in school.
At the approximate age of 23, Chance got himself in major trouble following a sleepover with a younger classmate. What actually happened isn't clear. If you ask Sally, nothing at all happened. If you ask the victim, Blind Billy, he'll say Chance forced his mouth onto Billy's schlong. If you ask Chance, you'll get one of several answers. He might parrot Sally. He might say Billy assaulted him. Or he might even say it was just two kids experimenting with their sexuality. Now, for what it's worth, I think Chance was actually telling the truth with his last answer. Chance is not exactly a physical specimen, as you can see, so the idea of him overpowering almost anyone sounds a bit wonky. If nothing had indeed happened, that's all Chance would be saying. Instead, we got several stories from him, and the mutual grab-assery sounds like the most logical of all the versions I've heard.
By the way, Chance was not in college when this happened. He was still in high school. So was Billy. I do not know for sure how old Billy was when this happened, but there is a reasonable chance he was not yet 18. Regardless of how old Billy was, Chance was kicked out of school. He says it was for his own protection, which is one of the worst attempts at spinning a situation I've ever heard of. Generally, the sicko gets removed for the protection of other students. If Chance had been the victim, as he sometimes says, they would have kicked Billy out.
However, it was Chance who was forced to leave, and at the age of 23, his school career ended. Did he get a job or even try to get a GED? No! You see, Chance had been built up to believe he was a talented musician and artist. He immediately tried making a living in music, focusing on juggalos and the insane clown posse. He gained the attention of a dude called Eric Scrubolo, who signed Chance to his record label. Oh, and before we get too far, I need to mention the first time Chance was arrested. Not long before the Blind Billy situation went down, Chance got himself catfished online. A person in Kansas expressed interest in Chance, but he had no way to get to her. Sally wouldn't take him, so he said he would walk from Akron, Ohio to Kansas. Not exactly a stroll around the corner. Logically, Sally refused to let him go, and Chance decided he'd force her to agree through strangulation. Luckily, one of her later children, Bill, was there at the time, and he pulled Chance off of Sally. She says he hasn't put a finger on her again since, but I frankly doubt that. Anyway, back to Scrubolo.
Chance showed his gratitude by stealing music and his handle from Scrubolo, and then throwing the label's dog tags into the lake he lives next to. It was later shown that Chance knew precisely dick about ICP, or Juggalo lore. Combined with what he did to Scrubolo, this was the last straw, and the Juggalos rejected him.
He then set out on his own, again if you ask him, and made a name for himself over the next few years, until he encountered a troll operating under the name Music Biz Marty. And at that point, the modern Cyraxx saga began. Marty played Buddy Troll, acting like he was going to make things happen, and in reality, just making fun of the sad little chump. At some point, Kate, another troll, noticed he was reaching out to bullied people, like children. She got a bad feeling, and decided to see if Chance was really offering help, or simply looking for children to take advantage of. As you can see from this text exchange, the latter proved to be what he was interested in. Kate said she was 14, as you can see, after Chance sent his first penis picture. This news didn't even faze the horny little sicko. Note he's asking for her nudes and saying it's time she lost her virginity too. In the end, it's obvious Chance jerked off to what she sent, then was hit by strong post-nut clarity, as can be seen in his last message.
He has been caught this way again and again. According to him, it's all good because no kids were involved. He's not a sicko because he hasn't been caught red-handed with a kiddo, like he was with Billy. At least that's what he and at least one of his supporters think. Chance obviously isn't very bright. One doesn't end up in high school for around a decade if they're smart. To him, the fact that he falls for traps designed to expose sickos is irrelevant. He thinks it could happen to anyone, and he is wrong. It can only happen to people interested in underage victims. A normal meatbag would cut off contact upon finding out they were talking to a minor. A sicko wouldn't.
He has gotten steadily worse. While we can be sure he's still looking for children to victimize, he spends a lot of time playing online games that kids enjoy. We also now know he has no problem masturbating in front of over 1,000 people. He's done that quite a few times. Above, you'll see a recent example. Side note, if I show more than one of these, there is a good chance YouTube will strike this video. Believe me when I say this isn't the only time. It's only one of the most recent.
Summary! Chance is highly regarded, very angry, extremely horny, and a danger to those around him. He can't take care of himself, and he likes youngsters. He is a 33-year-old who has never had a job or faced true consequences for any of his misdeeds. Sure, getting kicked out of school was one, but nowadays he looks back on it and considers himself a graduate. If ever there was a person who needed to be locked up for the safety of children and themselves, it would be Chance Wilkins.